So the real numbers of job losses have to be considerably higher than this number they put out to the public, which still the last time around, before revisions, was about 265,000. When they revise it, it might go to 365,000. Who knows? But the revised number never gets any prominence when they put it out.
Well, we're calling U6 unemployment at 21.3%, and John Williams is calling it at 21.4%. The government admits to 17%, but the problem is we've extracted the birth-death ratio, and so the figures are really much higher, and they're going to get higher, not precipitously so. Over the next 9 months, they'll go higher, but slightly. We'll probably see 22% by the end of the year, and it'll probably stagnate for about 6 or 8 months. And unless there's another stimulus package of about $2 trillion, it's going to start rising again. And I don't know what form a new stimulus package would take, but the president, who is a Nobel Peace Prize winner, if you can believe that,
oh, indeed. I wanted to make a comment.
They just extended the war in Afghanistan into Pakistan, and they're going to bring in 500,000 troops and mercenaries. I mean, the whole thing goes beyond reality. But yesterday I heard interviews in Detroit where they were giving out forms to 65,000 people who wanted free money. So I guess our president's going to go running around to the major cities in the country and just give money out to people. It's incredible.
It really is incredible, Bob. And I absolutely wanted to make a comment about Obama winning the Nobel Peace Prize. I would rate it the worst choice since Henry Kissinger got it. It really shows what the Nobel Committee is all about. It has nothing to do with peace. I mean,
well, they're all illuminists. Oh, and the Nobel fortune was made on explosives.
Exactly.
They invented dynamite.
Exactly.
And of course they've been in the arms trade for many, many years. So, Peace Prize, and here they are shoving weapons and explosives out the back door. I mean, give me a break.
It's pretty outrageous. Obama is taking a bad situation in Afghanistan. He's already made it worse. Just the man he appointed to be the commander there, Stanley McChrystal. Stanley McChrystal is a thuggish killer. Came up through special forces, and his expertise is in death squad activities. I mean, this guy is going around. I mean, you can do it on the ground. He's doing a lot of it through the air. There's even talk, and I believe it, that this group of 8 U.S. forces that were killed in a border outpost, minor post, that these posts are supposedly in border positions to watch for infiltration across the border. But the other side of the story is that, my God, the border is so big, you can infiltrate any place you want, I would imagine. And these people live in this country. They know this country. They can traverse the mountains much better than an outsider coming in. They probably couldn't do it at all. And the ugly rumor is that these troops weren't put there to police the border, but to be killed as a reason, as a pretext for McChrystal to be able to go back to the Pentagon, to Obama, and say, we simply don't have enough forces. You have to send me more. So we're letting. I think there's a very, very good possibility this is true. We're letting these guys be lambs to the slaughter, so we can send more troops over, so they will be lambs to the slaughter. And I believe the more we send, the more troops will be killed, and of course the more Afghans will be killed as well. And in the end, it'll turn out like Vietnam. We can't win this thing. I think the people with a brain absolutely know that, but they just keep this thing going and going and going. Even the good ones, Bob. I heard Russ Feingold, a brief interview. Sometimes he says things that make sense. He kind of came a little way over to the right side of Afghanistan, but overall he was pretty pathetic. He doesn't want to end this thing. He just wants a timetable for winding it down. What's a timetable mean? A year from now? 3 years from now, 5 years from now. The timetable is now. We need to get out, and we need to get out right now. And we need to do the same in Iraq, but of course that won't happen. That's off the economy, Bob, and we have to take another break. But a lot of it is we're pouring hundreds of billions of dollars into this stuff. We're getting nothing for it, and everything is up in flames at home. Let's continue when we come back. Welcome back to the News Hour. On with Bob Chapman. Let's get back on the economy, Bob. All your thoughts, most important, what's foremost on your mind. Give a little more information on your insight on what the way things look now, the way you can see them unfolding in the fairly near term. Pretty tough to look too far in the future. I think if we look, in one respect, it's easier if we look far enough out, because we're really heading for maybe the granddaddy of all train wrecks. But think about, say, the intermediate term, and what do you see?
Well, I think that the economy will probably get slightly better or go sideways, and that will continue to occur through the summer of next year, with the second half of the stimulus being spent. The word from Washington, I just heard a tape from Congressman Nunez from Central California on a program I do out of Modesto, and he said that most of the money for the stimulus package that has been spent is not being spent on infrastructure. Infrastructure is about 10%. The other 90% is going to pay off congressmen. I mean, this is incredible. A congressman saying this to buy votes. And but be as it may, next year the economy toward the end of the year is going to start to get wobbly again, and and interest rates are not going up during that time frame, and the dollar is going down, and the dollar will be testing 71.18 before the end of the year, and maybe before the end of the month. And next year it'll break that level, and probably the following year it'll probably fall back down to around 40, and that's when I expect devaluation officially, as well as default on debt. And I think that will be done multilaterally among all countries at some meeting, and such as the Smithsonian in the 70s and the Plaza Accord in 85, and where all currencies are revalued and devalued against each other, and there would be a debt settlement. My guess is 2/3 would be written off, and 1/3 would have to be paid back to debtors, and that would be country to country. And at the same time, I think they'll try to bring into being the currencies of the group of 20 into an index, and I think there will be gold in the index, but in order to be effective, it'll have to be 15% or more, which means those nations who have no gold in the G20 will have to go out and buy gold, which is bullish for the gold story. And so I also believe in the short term, gold will go to $1,250 here, could go as high as $1,700. And if it doesn't do it now, it'll do it early next year. And then later next year, I would expect that it may, around this time next year, take a run at 2,500, maybe even 3,000. And so we're looking at some very dynamic moves in gold and silver. Commodities should continue to go up after a small correction. The dollar will be down. Growth in the United States during the coming year might be plus 1%. First quarter was minus 6.4%. And that's the best they can do with $800 billion worth of stimulus. Now, if they had $2 trillion, maybe they could even show 2 or 3 or 4% growth. I don't know. But the point is, it hasn't been very successful. And the reason why, it was spread out over a period of time. and it was political. And they really ruined the program because the stimulus that was given to the public directly, and that started in May, and really that money had been mostly spent by July at the worst, August. And some of these other minor programs have snapped in, but we still got half to spend, and it's going to be next year and maybe later. And so they're going to come back for money, and Congress is going to give it to them. And that will extend us out another year, but it also, with what the Fed is doing in monetizing debt, it's going to give us some pretty hefty inflation, which has really already begun, but people don't see it yet because they're not economists. And